Welcome to the Food Network, and today we're going live from Hannibal's kitchen. Well, okay, so sometimes you'll hear feel-good things that just don't sound right, or are a little too... It sounds lovely, but it's unbelievable kind of stuff, self-help. Sometimes you get a really good idea from a strange place. And I was challenged of sorts to write down, if I were a soup, what ingredients would I put in my soup, starting with my core values. And it took a while because I didn't want to sound like I was blowing myself up or being a bit narcissistic, so I really had to think about this. At the same time, so what makes me feel good? What do I think I can do that is good? Faith, friendship, humor, love, what personal values? I would guess my friendliness, my stubbornness, the work I've put in towards being a more confident human being. What needs to go? What would ruin my soup? I suppose fear and shame and guilt and worry and a lack of confidence that needs to go away. And keep in mind, I actually record videos for YouTube, so I've gotten a lot more confident, especially since you never know what's gonna happen. So what makes a Beth? What makes a Beth soup? Trying to see if I'm missing anything. And what is my biggest goal? Well, my biggest goal, of course, is to be more confident and not to let myself be gotten at. And I realize how far I had to go the other night when, well, some insanity struck and I was woken up by someone who apparently expected a conversation from a freshly woken up me, which isn't gonna happen at all. And so it basically was just, what? Because quite frankly, at that point, so what, and I don't know if that'll ever change. Will I ever be able to have a conversation with someone upon first waking up? And the answer is probably not a chance in Hades. But I know that people love me in spite of the fact that I am not a conversationalist and can be a bit of a cranky jackass when first waking up. But so I know that I'm loved, which is a big part, so that goes into the soup. Things like worry or anger that needs to go, unless it's anger at things that are absolutely terrible, like pain and poverty, and that some people really, really do sucky things to other people. And what can I do to help that? And I suppose at the moment all I've got is I will be a light. Somehow I will be a light. And I will give. But that's roughly all I have right now, so it's going to be a work in progress. And I hate the fact that at the moment all I've got is a work in progress, and I can't really say, okay, there's this, there is that. But at the same time, I suppose progress has been made. I'm thinking of the poem by Kit Smart about his cat Jeffrey, and how for I can feel joy, for I can leap, for I can dance for joy, and in spite of everything. And I know that I am still 5-year seizure free. I did just have to fight for my anti-seizure drugs. I'm still feeling a bit wonky, but it's getting there. And I'm still, now what I really have to do is quit beating myself up because I've actually done something to my chin now. A few weeks ago it was a black eye, so I really need to work on certain things, but my sleeping is getting better for the time being. I just need to quit beating myself up in my sleep because I have dreams where I run the craziness of the last few days through and apparently fight against things that I haven't quite figured out. So there's that. But there is so much good. So I can leap and I can dance for joy and I can know that I've done good. And I know that I am loved. So there is so much good. And I guess the best soup is still slow cooking. There's the spices, there's the meats, there's everything else. It's not time to add the rice yet. And I guess what I want is, if you are out there and you want a little project, I want you to think of yourself as the perfect soup, stew, casserole, whatever. What ingredients would you put in, from your core values all the way down to what would ruin your soup? What would you take out so that your soup stays delicious? You know, fear and anger and pain and impatience, except for in those things that you should be impatient for, because there are some things that you shouldn't patiently accept. And there's learning and trying to figure out what things are there so that you don't patiently accept those things. Don't patiently accept bat crap from other human beings. Don't be patient when you know something is wrong. And if you're being hurt, don't be patient. That is unacceptable. And I'm learning this myself, because you can't always be sweet. Sometimes you have to say, no, this is inappropriate. I am done here. And just walk. And that's okay. Being patient with letting yourself get hurt ruins the soup. The brisket gets tough. So figure out what ingredients and what spices to put in. Even if it's the fact that you swear too much and maybe... Okay, this is personal on my end. I swear too much. I tend to try to give it up for Lent. It worked out really well last year, as you can imagine, because... Wow. Lent last year was a bit weird, and it felt like it went on for 40 years. But, any bad habits that you might be ashamed of, don't let it fester. But some things are some things are actually good spices that, you know, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of vinegar, depending on the soup. Depending on the broth. Sometimes you want a little bit of a... And whatever it is, go for it. And don't just stick with salt and pepper. Get fancy. Love you, and I will now return you to Hannibal's Kitchen.